It's a much nicer morning today, a lot less windy and no sign of rain so far, so let's hope that continues. The builder is here, he's just popped to the shop to get something. Today he'll be finishing up the floor tiles, which will basically mean that he will be grouting them. We've got this lovely stuff over here. It's the grout that we'll be using. We've used primarily all Mapei stuff. This is by Mapei as well, and it's meant to be a really fast, flexible grout to go between the tiles, and hopefully it will look really nice. Now once the grouting is done, that's it for the major works in the property. The only other thing left to do is the wall tiles, which you may or may not be able to see here, which needs to go underneath the cupboards and around in the kitchen. So once that tiling is done, you know, we're pretty much there now. The only thing left to do is for me to find the time to paint these walls, which is going to be done shortly, I think. This week I'm really going to try my best to push to get the painting done, at least in the kitchen, and then move my way into the living room. And yeah, the project is nearly done, guys. Can't believe it. But just gonna have some breakfast now with the kids upstairs still, while I leave him to carry on with the grouting. Okay guys, so just like that, the grouting is all done and dusted. Sophia and I are absolutely blown away with how good the tiles actually look. Now that the floor tiles are completely finished and the builder has just finished doing all the grouting, it looks absolutely amazing. All that is left to do, guys, is for me to test out my mopping skills in order to get this floor nice and clean. Okay guys, so in preparation for me painting the walls in the kitchen and in the living room, one of my evening jobs is to fill all the holes from the screws and the nails and whatever imperfections there were in the wall as best as I possibly could. This would actually make it a lot easier for me to paint the walls later on. Now all I did was use a bit of generic wall filler rather than trying to re-skim the whole walls. Okay guys, so here's a little tip for you if you're ever trying to get those pesky wall plugs out of the wall. All you'll need is a screw and a pair of pliers. Now all you have to do is screw the screw back into the wall plug and simply use the pliers to slowly pull both screw and wall plugs out of the wall. And all you have to do is use some filler in order to fix the wall before sanding and painting.
I've just followed that, yeah, and then basically when the next one comes in, will come in and you'll just have a little gap like that, so this will have a thin layer on here just to, just to give you a joint. You might have a slightly bigger joint there than you've got, than the 2mm, but that's how I do it. I cut it tight to that, because if you try and cut it 2-3mm above that, that's just hard.
Okay, so up next on my to-do DIY list is for me to actually fly solo in removing this radiator from our living room. Now as I showed you before, the radiators in this house were so close to the floor, which made it almost impossible to actually drain them and take them off the wall. Now my plan is to actually rectify that
by removing this radiator, which is probably one of the largest ones in the house, and raising the brackets before painting it and then replacing it back onto the wall. Now normally this would cost you a couple of £100 to get a professional to do this, but of course, in order to save myself some money, I've basically learned how to do it myself.
So this is why you need your radiators to be higher off the floor, because if you need to bleed them, or if you need to let the water out, shall I say, it's an absolute pain, especially if you haven't got professional equipment to actually get the water out of it, because it's so close to the floor. The hose which I'm using can't lie flat enough, because it needs to be lower than the exit point here, or else you end up with a little trickle like I'm having here, and I'm basically going to be here for a while. However, you know, nothing good comes easy. I want these radiators up, and in hindsight I should have done this before, but you know, there was so much things going on, and you know, the builder hadn't quoted me for this. However, you know, he's taught me, or he's teaching me how to do it myself, with his help of course, while he's tiling.
With emulsion paint, you can thin it 10% without losing any colour.
Which I normally do.
Yeah, that's alright then, as long as you know. It's, a lot of people don't. So what I do is I take out half a tub in another pot.
Yeah.
And water it down, use that on the base coat, and then the stuff I haven't touched, I use on the second coat.
Add a bit of richness.
The second coat just enhances, and it's not been diluted at all.
So the final tiles are being placed now on the splashback in the kitchen, and we're so super excited about this. Now we chose these Metro blue tiles, which were a lot smaller than the floor ones, and we got them from the Tile Mountain website. Now, although we went for blue tiles, the subtle shimmer and shine on these ones really add a nice finish and complements the cupboards really well, and I'm pleased to say that they're looking really nice around the splashback.
Hold it level. Yeah. Drop your in. Come on.
Yeah. Look at all those things that drop your hose. That.
Yeah, don't worry about it so much.
Yeah.
It's lovely, isn't it? I thought you were going to give me a hand, Abby.
It looks like charcoal.
It does look like charcoal.
Okay, so now the radiator is now off the wall and we can see the exposed wallpaper that was hiding behind. And this is another little tip for you guys. Whenever you remove a radiator, you can almost guarantee it that the wallpaper behind it will be much harder to remove, as over the years all that heat has baked it onto the wall. And I was quite surprised with just how difficult it was to remove, but the wallpaper was no match for this steamer. No matter how many years and how dry it was, we were able to get it removed. so pleased that by this part of the build, Sophia was doing so much better after she's been in so much agony with her slip disc. Now unfortunately she weren't able to be as hands-on as we would have originally wanted to, but nonetheless we were so happy that she was able to move around and not be in as much pain as she was before. Now although she wasn't able to do a lot of heavy lifting, she was still large and in charge and was able to give me orders for me to complete. And of course Naomi is learning from the pro.
Okay, just finished sanding the living room. It probably took me about an hour. I'm absolutely covered in dust. It's crazy. This plaster dust isn't easy. I would have loved to have done this much earlier in the project, but time and circumstances meant that I wasn't able to. The tiling is now done and it's just easier for me to move around in the room. And yeah, I mean the walls, they're not in the worst condition, they're not the best either, but you know, they'll be fine. We took the wallpaper off because there were so many parts that were ripped. The kids were literally peeling them off because they were damaged, and we just thought, let's just take it back to the plaster, see what it's like. We were originally going to re-skim the whole room, but we decided to just keep what we've got, work with what we have to save on cost, and repair whatever we can really. And hopefully once it's all done, once it's all painted, it will look good. That's the main thing. We want it to look aesthetically pleasing and we want to be happy with the way it looks. So I'm just going to hoover up now all of this dust, and a little later on I'm going to paint the radiator, which we took off the wall, and in the days to come we're going to raise the brackets which are on the wall so that the radiator can sit a lot higher, just like we did in the kitchen. But we're getting there slowly. Tomorrow we're going to carry on some tiling in the kitchen. Well, I say we, I mean the builder, but I'll be watching and making sure that he's doing a good job. And so yeah, just going to tidy up now. There's literally dust everywhere. I need to take off some of the light fittings on the wall, on the switches and the plugs, in order to sand just behind them, get rid of whatever wallpaper is left. But for now, I'm happy with this. So let's get cleaning. Now sanding down plaster isn't for the faint of heart, because like I said, it gets everywhere. I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but yeah, it's pretty messy. It's just dust everywhere.
Okay guys, so after the dust had settled, it was now time for me to start cleaning up. I got the hoover out and made sure I hoovered up as much as I possibly could while opening the windows and the doors. The next step was to give the walls a nice wipe down with some clean water to get rid of the remaining dust. So I'll then leave these walls to dry out for a day or so before starting the painting. Now Sophia and I have been looking online trying to find the right colour paint, and we think we've honed in on it. Now we've always wanted to use some nice quality paint, and we found some colours on the Lick website, and we've ordered some samples, and what we're planning on doing is taking these samples to Homebase and getting them to colour match them so that we could buy them at a fraction of the price. Okay guys, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying the content. As always guys, this is Kenroy saying, I'll see you when you see me. Take care.